New tonight, Ukraine says its recent attack on the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet killed the fleet's commander and more than 30 other officers. And now Moscow appears to be hitting back, launching a deadly attack on the Ukrainian port city of Odessa that reportedly caused, quote, significant damage. Officials in Kyiv calling it a pathetic attempt at retaliation. Let's get more on this with our experts on Russia and the military. Major John Spencer, I want to start with you. Just how significant is it if Ukraine killed the commander of Russia's Black Sea Fleet?
It's huge, Pamela. I mean, that's the highest level officer of the Black Sea Fleet. The Black Sea Fleet is the key to Crimea, and it also came with reportedly most of his staff. So that'll be a huge crippling blow to the Black Sea Fleet for sure.
Colonel Layton, I'm going to go to you. Why does Ukraine see these repeated attacks on Crimea as so essential to the overall strategy?
I think, Pamela, the big reason that they see this as essential is they understand how the Russian military works. The Russian military is a top-down driven structure. And the way, as John mentioned, you've got the commander there. That person is solely responsible for all of the different movements of the Black Sea Fleet. And the Ukrainians see this as basically taking out that central node. And when they take out that node, that makes it really difficult for the Russians to move forward with their battle plans, with all of their efforts, and frankly, with their effort to control the grain exports that Ukraine has. So it's a huge effort for them to do this, but their targeting has been extremely accurate on the Ukrainian side.
And if it is accurate, if this claim is accurate, Jill, how much of a blow would that be to Russian morale? How much of a problem is this becoming for Vladimir Putin and his forces?
Oh, I think it's a very big problem. And, sometimes when big news happens, big bad news happens in Russia or for Russia, the silence tells you that it's serious. And right now, there's no confirmation, there's no denial, there's really not much of any reaction to this news. And I think that's significant. They really probably do not know what to say at this point. It would be, I think, extremely serious. The only thing that I've seen is kind of an uptick in the, I would call it kind of apocalyptic comments on social media and the Russian state-controlled media of revenge, destroying Ukraine completely, that type of thing, which also, to me, lends credence to this theory that it's really very bad for Russia.
That's really interesting context. John, the first delivery of the U.S. Abrams tanks, they have now arrived in Ukraine ahead of schedule. How does Ukraine integrate these tanks into the counteroffensive?
Very carefully, and it's what great news that they may get there in time for the counteroffensive. That's actually great news. I mean, I commanded with Bradleys and tanks in combat. That tank will dominate the battlefield. Of course, they're coming in limited numbers of, initially of 31 package, but the sighting systems, the range of the weapon systems, the accuracy of it, it's just the best thing on the battlefield, and it'll cause havoc. But the Ukrainians have to put it in very carefully.
Colonel Layton, I had asked John Kirby, Admiral Kirby from the White House about this. He didn't want to confirm it, but there are reports that the U.S. could soon send longer-range ATACMS, these missiles, to Ukraine as well. Why has the U.S. held out for so long when Ukraine says these weapons are so critical in the war?
I think the main fear, Pamela, was that Russia would be provoked by these ATACMS. And if the Army Tactical Missile System, the ATACMS system, got into Ukrainian hands, the fear was that it would provoke Russia to escalate further than it has already done so. In essence, they were worried about a tactical nuclear weapon or something like that. But up until this point, the Russians have not responded in that way. Their responses have been more like we see with the attack on Odessa. And that's the kind of thing that we can expect from the Russians up until this point, because they know that if they used a tactical nuclear weapon, it would be very dangerous for them, and the consequences would be very serious.
Jill, to wrap it up with you, what do you think Putin's strategy is as the grueling winter months approach?
Oh, I think he'll probably pull out the playbook from last year and try to go after heating and energy infrastructure. He's already beginning to do that somewhat. I think, sadly, I think there will be more really saturation bombing. There's an element here of just flailing trying to get back at the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians actually are making some progress. And that was denied in the media today, failed to take any ground, et cetera. But I do think there's concern. I do think there's also concern about the Abrams tanks. They know that they could be significant.
All right, thanks to you all. Much appreciated. And just ahead.